This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by world champion Mikaela Mayer here in Las Vegas. Mikaela, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Really been in the gym since the last Sandy fight, just working on things, getting better. Kofi doesn't believe in a training camp, so I've been working, waiting on the fight date, and just glad we got this done with Mary Spencer at super welterweight this time.
Before we come on to obviously your venture up to super welterweight, how are you finding obviously training here at the DLX gym?
I love DLX. I'm so glad I moved here to Vegas a few years back. I originally moved here to be closer to Coach K, and when things kind of took a turn and he took on Sandy Ryan, it really was all a blessing in disguise because partnering with Kofi was probably one of the best career decisions I've ever made. I feel better than ever, stronger than ever. I got a great family here at DLX, so I feel like I'm in the best position I've been in my whole career.
I don't want to kind of go over old ground, but given, as you said, you moved here to get closer to them and now you feel like you found a new family, you found a new home. How important was it for you to find that so quickly, given how disappointed you would have been back then with how things unfolded?
It's really hard to find a good coach, and that was one of the reasons I kind of tried to make things work with Kay, even though I knew Sandy was coming into town. But ultimately, I couldn't do it, and I would see Kofi over here on the bag training Curmel later in the evening, and I was just like, he looks mean, but he looks like a good coach. And so the first thing I thought of was asking True if, maybe he was looking to train any other fighters. He said, only high level. I'm like, that's me. He doesn't think I am. He thinks I'm trash, but we're working on that.
It takes something to think of all champions trash Mikaela.
Well, he's hard on me, He doesn't let me cut corners, and he wants me to constantly continue to get better. So I've never really had yes men in my corner either. Coach Al's always been hard on me my whole career, so I'm not used to the pats on the back. I like it.
So I was going to say, you kind of bounce off of that energy. You prefer somebody who is hard on you as opposed to just constantly praising you and just highlighting all of the good things.
Yeah, you need that. You never want to get comfortable in the sport, especially, I think a lot of people think that, especially at my age and the career I've had, that maybe I'm on the downfall, and Kofi doesn't want that. He wants me to go out there and be better than ever and show the world that, there's still a lot of Mikaela that they haven't seen, and that's true, and that's how I feel, so we're going to prove everyone wrong.
It's a surprising thing you've just said there, Mikaela. Do you feel like people are looking at you thinking you're like somewhat coming out or coming on the decline?
I think that people expected me to maybe go undisputed years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and kind of be one of the first women to do that. And obviously my career took a little bit of a turn. I had 2 years of setback with trying to get my world title back. And so, yeah, there was a lot there, mentally and physically. And I just kind of had to stay positive because I think this is a very unforgiving sport. And when you do, your career does take a turn and you catch a loss, people can turn on you pretty quick. And so I definitely felt it. I definitely felt the shine kind of fade away, and I just had to kind of stay strong and stay in the gym and believe that I could be back where I am today. But I know there are some people who thought that maybe my prime had passed.
That time after the Baumgardner fight, do you regret not finding yourself moving up sooner? Instead of, on one hand, that fight, although it didn't play out how you wanted, you didn't get the decision, the rivalry you had was great for the profile and building both of you up. But now do you look at it and think if you had moved up sooner, you might have still had those positions, still had these opportunities you're getting there?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I feel like when I was in the Baumgartner build-up, I was very confident that my body was fine. I'm not cutting too much weight. I'm fine. I'm healthy. And that was just my fighter mindset. I really did believe that I was fine. And now that I've moved up and I'm kind of settled into a healthier weight class, I wasn't fine. It was definitely taking a toll on my body, and I wasn't at my best. But so I probably should have moved up a lot earlier than I did. But in hindsight, I don't regret it because it got me to where I am now. That fight with Baumgartner was huge. I made a lot of money at lightweight. It was great. I took a detour, but sometimes you gotta fall down to come back stronger, and that's exactly what happened. So I really don't regret anything because I'm just really happy with where I am right now.
Just because I haven't had a chance to speak to you since the victory over Sandy Ryan in that rematch, how sweet of a victory did you find that?
It was sweet, obviously, for a lot of reasons. One, obviously getting my world title back, getting my belt back around my waist, that was really important to me. And it was important to me to do it against a fighter that people thought highly of. And people thought very highly of Sandy Ryan. She's a great fighter, and she's strong, and she was a natural welterweight. So for me to do that and then come back and do it again was even more rewarding because I think I didn't get the rematches I wanted, and I don't want to be a hypocrite in that sense. So I said, okay, if the fans want it, it's a warranted rematch. Let me give that to her. Let me do it again. Let me do it better. So, and I think I did. I think the second fight was even more dominant than the first. So that was definitely rewarding, and I became so much more well-rounded as a fighter in the meantime, in the process of it.
Moving up again to 154, as you mentioned, for this Spencer fight, why move up again? Why not, like I say, chase but undisputed at 147?
So we did chase for undisputed, and logistics. We had a deal in place with Lauren Price. It was supposed to be here in Vegas, July 28th or something like that. The deal was done. I was very included in the negotiations. I don't think Lauren Price was, because her team negotiated a deal for her that I don't think that she was aware of. And I think eventually she said, I'm not going to America for that money and doing all that. So whatever, that's her prerogative. I understand it's a big fight. We should both get the money that we deserve to go into this fight. But with Top Rank separating from ESPN and boxers separating themselves from Sky Sports, the money wasn't there to make the fight happen. And so there was really, the only option was either to go down to 140 and try and challenge someone like Chantelle Cameron, who is now, mandated to fight Katie, and we'll see how that goes, or go up to 54. I didn't want to just fight a no-name at 147, an easy fight. I always want to continue to challenge myself and fight the best, so why not go up and go for another third division world title?
So talking about Spence, obviously she's got a couple of defeats on her record, then. So what are you hoping from this fight?
I don't know. I haven't seen the fights that she lost. I haven't been able to find them on the internet. But I'm not too worried about that. I have 2 defeats too. I don't think that says anything about who I am as a fighter. You never had a boring fight. You've never seen me hurt. So, I assume she's strong. She's a natural super welterweight. She's obviously taller and bigger than me. I know she has that, but I'm boxing better than ever right now. Kofi has me on point, learning, growing. I'm rotating into my shots. I know I have more power than I've ever had. I'm healthier than I've ever been, and sharper and faster. So I think my skills will overpower the size difference.
Certainly over this last couple of years, you've spoken about how much better you feel in your body, being up at 147 now, going to 154, that extra 7 pounds that you don't need to worry about cutting again. How are you finding that element?
I'm not focusing too much on the weight. Like I said, I've been in camp been in the gym since the last Sandy fight. So my weight is sitting around 150, 151. And, I'm lean, I'm strong, I have more muscle mass. So I have plenty of room to add some more pounds of muscle. And I've been in the weight room doing the volume and all that. But I'm not super focused on it. Again, I'm just going to use my skill, my experience, and my speed. And, it might be a little lighter, but I think I have more skill.
I was about to say, do you feel like the speed, the natural speed that you'll have over will play a key part in the fight?
Yeah, because, fighting at lightweight and these lighter weights, my punch count is high. I'm used to going at a faster tempo, and so than the girls at the heavier weights. So I think that'll definitely play a role. But, we'll see. I'm not looking past her, and I'm going to expect to fight the best Mary Spencer.
I know you're not looking past her, but it's my job to look past her for you. If you're successful, do you see yourself then chasing the other titles at 154, or do you want to come back down to 147 and revisit the Lauren Price fight?
I think the Lauren Price for Undisputed is my number 1 fight that I really want. So I know I can't hold 2 belts in 2 different divisions at the same time. Ultimately, I would plan on vacating the 154-pound title, coming back down to 147, finishing what I started, go Undisputed against Lauren Price. And then I have the option, do I want to go down to 140, or do I want to go back up to 54 and challenge for Undisputed in either division? I think I have the body type, and I can manipulate my weight in a way that I could do either or. And both great opportunities. Maybe I'll do both by the time I hang it up. So we'll see.
I know obviously you mentioned with Lauren being with Boxer and they're split from Sky, and obviously yourselves with ESPN with Top Rank, and they're split from ESPN whilst they're working on a broadcast deal. Currently it might not be something you can quite get over the line, but do you feel like by the time then the Spencer fight's out of the way, back into this year, there's been positive kind of side talks that you'll be able to revisit it with all parties?
100%. I know Lauren Price wants that fight. I want that fight. The logistics have held us back from getting it done, but hopefully, after this fight with Mary Spencer, we can get the Undisputed fight done early next year. And I'm sure by then the networks will be all worked out, and I get to go for another world title in the meantime and stay busy.
A couple of fights I do want to pose to you. You mentioned Chantelle earlier. I know in the past you've spoken about potentially facing it. It's been quite respectful between the pair of you, but is 140 out of the equation?
No, 140 is not out of the equation. Like I said, I'm walking around at like 150 right now, so I'm not really cutting to get to 47. I'm obviously not cutting to get to 154. I think 140 is the lowest I could go, but definitely doable in a healthy way.
Obviously, as you mentioned Chantelle there, the other name I'm going to throw at you is Katie Taylor. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about whether or not she's going to continue. She's done everything she wanted to in the sport, but if she is to continue, she wants big names, she wants those established names. You're one of those. Is it something you want to throw your hat into the ring as quickly as possible if Katie's looking to have another fight?
Yeah, I've always wanted to fight Katie Taylor. I've made that known. We've reached out to Matchroom. They know we're available for that fight. If she does want one more fight at Croke Park, I'm willing to go to Ireland to get that done. I know she's mandated to fight Chantelle. I don't know what she's going to do. It's kind of up to her. You know, I respect whatever decision she makes, but I would love to be called upon for her final fight if that's what she's looking to do. Again, we'll see. But yeah, my name's in the hat. They know we're available and willing.
Do you feel, Mikaela, that you've got enough potential high-profile opponents for yourself? Like we've just mentioned, obviously Chantelle, Katie, the Lauren Price fight. Then you're looking at 154. But do you feel like you've got enough names that match your own stature in the sport as potential dance partners?
Definitely think I have enough names. I think I'm at a weight class, again, that I can easily fluctuate, and I can go down to 40, up to 54. A handful of names. I'm really in a good position now, and I think that with this being sort of like maybe the last 2 years of my career, we'll see how it goes. It's only big fights from here. So, you know, if I can get this fight with Mary, or beat Mary Spencer, come down, beat Lauren Price, challenge Chantelle Cameron, which I've said I wanted to do. I think she's on board with that as well. Potentially get a Katie fight. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath about it. And then, you know, I have O'Shea Jones also at 154. You know, if I decide to go back up and unify with her. So, you know, if I have 4 to 6 fights left of me, then I think that I have a pretty good list of names for that.
Another couple of fighters who you know well, Shakur Stevenson and Lopez, a lot of talk that a fight's close to being finalised between the pair of them. Mm-hmm. If that one's rubber stamped, who do you favour and why?
I mean, again,
I'd assume 140 would be where they'd do it as well.
140 would be. I don't think it's so much about the weight. I think that again, this comes down to the styles, and I think that it'd be a very good fight. Obviously, Tio's very elusive and unpredictable too. He's kind of got, you know, you don't really know exactly what he's going to come out to do, and Shakur is very hard to hit. He's a good boxer, and so Tio's got to be careful, you know, taking risks like that because Shakur is sharp, you know. So I got to go with Shakur just because he's my Olympic teammate, and I think he's a great boxer. Similar style with like someone like Terrence Crawford. I just kind of favor that style of boxing, but we'll see. It'll be a great fight. I hope they get it done because I think the fans really want to see it.
Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr., Mikaela, that one's divided opinion because obviously a lot of people looked at Haney's performance against Ramirez, maybe didn't let his hands go as much, maybe there's somewhat of, you know, he's constantly thinking back to what happened in the Ryan Garcia fight. Mm-hmm. Do you see demons in Devin that he needs to address in this Brian Norman Jr. fight?
Obviously, Brian Norman is looking pretty good right now, right? Strong, good boxer, seems to be pretty well-rounded. You know, I don't know. Devin Haney, the last couple of fights have been a little bit maybe not his best. So if you go off his last couple of fights, then I think if you're betting money, you want to put it on Brian Norman, but you never know. Like, I never like to count people out. We're always growing and adjusting and making changes in this sport. So as long as he's, you know, honest with himself and what he needs to do, then, you know, we could see the Devin Haney we saw against Loma or something like that. You never really know. But again, if I had to bet money on it right now, I'd probably put it on Brian Norman.
Mikaela, I don't suppose you're going to go against the grain and back Keith Thurman to roll back the years against Sebastian Fundora?
I don't know. Okay, so I really like Fundora, and he's tall, and that obviously helps him a lot. But sometimes he's very vulnerable with that height. You know, his chin's up in the air, and he has gotten tagged a few times. I mean, he can take a punch, obviously, but you know, one hard, nice landed punch from Thurman, and it could be the end of it. So, but what I like about Fundora is even though he's tall and long, he could box and circle around you all day, but he likes to engage, right? And it makes him an exciting fighter, but it also makes him vulnerable in a lot of ways. So if I had to put money on it again, I don't know. I'd probably put it on Fundora, but there is a chance that he could get caught.
Last thing I want to talk to you about, Mikaela, is obviously you've got Curmel Moton who trains out of this gym as well. Mm-hmm. What's it been like kind of working with such a young star, people look at him as, and somewhat kind of helping him get to grips with the boxing world?
I like Curmel a lot. Me and him have a cool friendship. We joke with each other all day. I'm the self-proclaimed team captain. He doesn't understand why because he thinks he's better than me, which he probably is. But I have more experience. It's not all about how good you box, okay? It's how you handle all situations in life. And so he needs me as the captain. No, but he's great. And I don't necessarily like training alongside of him because Kofi thinks he's so great and it makes me look bad, but whatever. I'm learning a lot.
Well, Mikaela, listen, it's a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm leaving you to obviously enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your session, enjoy your week, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for speaking to me in Boxing News.